tremble. Were you there when they crucified my Lord? Were you there when they nailed him to the tree? Were you there when they nailed him to the tree? Oh, sometimes it causes me to tremble, tremble, tremble. Were you there when they nailed him to the tree? Were you there when they pierced him in the side? Were you there when they pierced him in the side? Oh, sometimes it causes me to tremble, tremble, tremble. Were you there when they pierced him in the side? Were you there when the sun refused to shine? Were you there when the sun refused to shine? Oh, sometimes it causes me to tremble, tremble, tremble. Were you there when the sun refused to shine? Were you there when they laid him in the tomb? Were you there when they laid him in the tomb? Oh, sometimes it causes me to tremble, tremble, tremble. Were you there when they laid him in the tomb?
Hear these words from Luke 23:39 through 43. When they came to the place that is called the Skull, they crucified Jesus there with the criminals, one on his right and one on his left. Then Jesus said, "Father, forgive them, for they do not know what they are doing." And they cast lots to divide his clothing. "Father, forgive them, for they do not know what they're doing." This first saying of Jesus on the cross is traditionally called the word of forgiveness. It is interpreted as Jesus' prayer for forgiveness for those who were crucifying him. The Roman soldiers, all others who were involved in his crucifixion, and for all of us as well. May we accept Christ's forgiveness.
Just as I am without one plea, but that thy blood was shed for me, and that thou bidst me come to thee, O Lamb of God, I come, I come. Just as I am, thou wilt receive, wilt welcome, pardon, cleanse, release, because thy promise I believe, O Lamb of God, I come, I come.
Hear these words from Luke 23:39 to 43. One of the criminals who were hanged there kept deriding him and saying, "Are you not the Messiah? Save yourself and us." But the other rebuked him, saying, "Do you not fear God, since you are under the same sentence of condemnation? And we, indeed, have been condemned justly, for we are getting what we deserve for our deeds, but this man has done nothing wrong." Then he said, "Jesus, remember me when you come into your kingdom." Jesus replied, "Truly I tell you, today you will be with me in paradise." This saying is traditionally called the word of salvation. Jesus was crucified between two thieves, one who believed in Jesus' innocence and in believing asked him to remember him when he comes into his kingdom. Truly I say to you, today you will be with me in paradise. This promise is for all who believe and claim Jesus as Lord.
Jesus, remember me when you come into your kingdom. Jesus, remember me when you come into your kingdom. Jesus, remember me when you come into your kingdom. Jesus, remember me when you come into your kingdom.
Hear these words from John 19:26 and 27. When Jesus saw his mother and the disciple whom he loved standing beside her, he said to his mother, "Woman, here is your son." Then he said to the disciple, "Here is your mother." And from that hour the disciple took her into his own home. This statement is traditionally called the word of relationship, and in it Jesus entrusts his mother Mary into the care of a faithful disciple. In this word we are reminded of Jesus' care for family and our responsibility to care for each other. May we listen intently as Jesus shows us who needs our care most, and may we be empowered to provide the care Jesus asks of us.
When I survey the wondrous cross on which the Prince of Glory died, my richest gain I count but lost, and pour contempt on all my pride. See from his head, his hands, his feet, sorrow and love flow mingled down. Did e'er such love and sorrow meet, or thorns compose so rich a crown?
Hear these words from Mark 15, verses 33 and 34. When it was noon, darkness came over the whole land until 3 p.m. At 3 o'clock, Jesus cried out with a loud voice, Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani, which means, my God, why have you forsaken me? This saying is traditionally called the word of abandonment. Found in both Matthew and Mark, it is the only word that appears in more than one of the Gospels. It is given in Aramaic with a translation following. My God, why have you forsaken me, is the opening line of Psalm 22. It was common for people in Jesus' time to reference a psalm by quoting only the first line. Jesus quotes the first line of a psalm that is not only filled with expressions of trouble and woe, but also with the assurance of God's gracious, eternal presence. When we feel abandoned, we cry all the more for God. The reassurance that Jesus received as he hung in agony on the cross is the same reassurance that God, Father, Son, Spirit, gives us when we cry out.
cross of Jesus, I fain would take my stand. The shadow of a mighty rock within a weary land, a home within the wilderness, a rose upon the way. From the burning of the noontide heat and the burden of the day, upon that cross of Jesus, mine eye at times can see the very dying form of one who suffered there for me. And from my stricken heart with tears to wonders I confess, the wonders of redeeming love and my unworthiness.
Hear these words from John 19:28. After this, when Jesus knew that all was now finished, he said, in order to fulfill the scripture, I thirst. This statement is traditionally called the word of distress. In it, we are reminded of the humanity and suffering of Jesus. Hanging on the cross, Jesus, fully human and fully divine, accepted excruciating suffering on our behalf. I thirst also reminds us of Jesus' command to feed the hungry and the thirsty. He says, if you have done this to the least of these, you have done it to me. We give thanks to Jesus for the suffering and thirsting he endured on the cross, that we might drink living water. May we be bold in sharing that living water with all we encounter.
Jesus, keep me near the cross, there a precious fountain, free to all a healing stream, flows from Calvary's mountain. In the cross, be my glory ever, till my raptured soul shall find rest beyond the river. Near the cross, O Lamb of God, bring its scenes before me. Help me walk from day to day with its shadow o'er me. In the cross, be my glory ever, find rest beyond the river.
Hear these words from Luke 23:44 through 46. It was now about noon, and darkness came over the whole land until 3 p.m, while the sun's light failed, and the curtain of the temple was torn in two. Then Jesus, crying with a loud voice, said, "Father, into your hands I commend my spirit." Having said this, he breathed his last. This saying, which is an announcement and not a request, is traditionally called the word of reunion. Theologically interpreted as the proclamation of Jesus joining God the Father in heaven. This word is often used to remind us of our reunion with God when we cross from this earth to heaven. May we give ourselves to God as we look forward to our reunion day in heaven.
On a hill far away stood an old rugged cross, the emblem of suffering and shame. And I love that old cross where the dearest and best for a world of lost sinners was slain. So I'll cherish the old rugged cross till my trophies at last I lay down. I will cling to the old rugged cross and exchange it someday for a crown.
Hear these words from John 19:29-30. A jar full of sour wine was standing there, so they put a sponge full of wine on a branch of hyssop and held it to his mouth. When Jesus had received the wine, he said, "It is finished." Then he bowed his head and gave up his spirit. This statement is traditionally called the word of triumph. It is theologically interpreted as the announcement of the end of Jesus' early life. No more needs to be done. The work of salvation is completed. It is finished. Allow these words to sink in as we give thanks for Jesus and the salvation he offers.
crucified my Lord. Were you there when they crucified my Lord? Oh, sometimes it causes me to tremble, tremble, tremble. Were you there when they crucified my Lord?
It's Friday. Jesus is praying. Peter's asleep. Judas is betraying. But Sunday's coming. It's Friday. Pilate's struggling. The council is conspiring. The crowd is vilifying. They don't even know that Sunday's coming. It's Friday. The disciples are running like sheep without a shepherd. Mary's crying. Peter is denying. But they don't know that Sundays are coming. It's Friday. The Romans beat my Jesus. They robe him in scarlet. They crown him with thorns. But they don't know that Sunday's coming. It's Friday. See Jesus walking to Calvary, his blood dripping, his body stumbling, and his spirit's burdened. But you see, it's only Friday. Sunday's coming. It's Friday. The world's winning. People are sinning, and evil's grinning. It's Friday. The soldiers nailed my Savior's hands to the cross. They nailed my Savior's feet to the cross. And then they raised him up next to criminals. It's Friday. But let me tell you something. Sunday's coming. It's Friday. The disciples are questioning what has happened to their king. And the Pharisees are celebrating that their scheming has been achieved. But they don't know it's only Friday. Sunday's coming. It's Friday. He's hanging on the cross, feeling forsaken by his Father, left alone and down. Can nobody save him? Oh, it's Friday, but Sunday's coming. It's Friday. The earth trembles. The sky grows dark. My King yields his spirit. It's Friday. Hope is lost. Death has won. Sin has conquered. And Satan's just a laugh. It's Friday. Jesus is buried. A soldier stands guard, and a rock is rolled into place. But it's Friday. It is only Friday. Sunday is a coming.
Contemplating what happened on Friday and looking forward to Sunday. Go in peace.